All right, greetings, dear Libra. This one is for you. It's from Tarot Lumination, your one and only, and it is your mini generic love and relationship report for April 2019. We're going to take it easy on the astrology this month because March was overwhelming for a lot of people, and frankly, enough is enough. So I'm just going to gently breeze through, okay? Hope you don't mind. Cards are well shuffled in advance. We're going to go to the last second so that you're a witness. But before we really get into it, I just want to give you a brief overview of what is coming. Excuse me. All right, so we're going to use the Tarot Lumination Crucible spread. And yes, there it is, just like that. So this is a bowl type structure. A crucible is a bowl. And it's a bowl that's designed to withstand intense pressures, the kind that occur in laboratories with intense alchemical reactions, which is very similar to what happens in human relationships, okay? So a lot of folks, obviously, we operate like this. There's you, there's the other, but there's an awful lot more that goes on below the surface. And a lot of that happens in the context of the crucible. So we have you, Libra, we have another, and we have the relationship itself. It is a third entity that you guys own, essentially, and it ferments and creates energy itself. So this whole thing becomes a resonating being. The relationship itself is transmitting energy and receiving energy, just like you are, just like the other is. So what's the story look like, okay? We'll have a look in a moment. We're getting close. You might be aware, Libras, that we're, for a good chunk of the month, we're going through the Aries season, and that's often considered the point of maximum opposition for Libras. So if you feel as though you've reached like a brick wall in life, love, and relationships, and wherever you go, it's almost insurmountable, that would be normal. If you're having sensations of amazing awareness and new understandings about love and relationship, that would be normal. Because with the 7th house opposition, there's really nowhere to hide. They call it the house of open enemies. It's also the house of marriage. And there's a reason, because it's almost the same energy. When you have a really good marriage, it's one of the best decisions and experiences you can have. When you have a bad marriage, it's very obvious and there's nowhere to hide, and it's one of the worst experiences you can have. It's an open situation. Some people try to cover it up, but most of the time everyone else can tell anyway, so there's no point. Anyway, here we go, Libra. This one's for you. Please invite your invisible friends. Cross-watch for the significant other if you want to, and others can watch for your sun, moon, and rising if you want to. Also, singles. If you really want to, you can watch this, but you have to allow for the laws of attraction. What are you radiating in terms of love frequencies? And in so doing, what is being reflected back to you from the universe, okay? So the way we pull out the spread, you'll see in a moment, this would be you, Libra, this would be the other. So for singles, this would be the energy of like, what if? Just what if? Like, what if there's someone out there? What if there's someone you got your eye on, or someone who's got their eye on you, okay? So let's just allow for that. We don't predict the future. I don't forecast the future here. So I guess some people do, but I don't. I just prefer to read things as they are, and then you can make your own decisions, okay? Thank you very much. I think I asked you, invited you to bring your invisible friends, because that's what we do here at Tarot Lumination, okay? All right, so this is it. We're well shuffled. Let's cut it up. Bless this deck. Bless every single card. Bless you, dear Libras. All of you out there, thank you for being here at Tarot Lumination. Really appreciate it. Do the subscribes and the likes and the comments. I read all the comments. The best thing, of course, is to become a member. Yay. Let's have a look. Here we go. This is the energy that you'd be radiating. Think of yourself like a smartphone. Over here, the significant other, potential significant other. Over here, deep inside of you, deep inside of the other, and then the core of the relationship itself. Now, the relationship, from the Tarot Lumination perspective, is its own thing. There's you, the other, and the relationship, and it's all happening in this crucible here. And this would be like, it's like owning a business together. So what is the nature of this? Okay. And in a really healthy, loving relationship, both parties are aware of the full extent of the dynamics of a relationship, and they invest in the relationship. They work on the relationship. They work on themselves and each other in the context of the relationship. And what is being fermented, okay? So let's have a look at the external energy here. I'm hoping you can see the parallels now between this spread and the little diagram that I made here, okay? We're going to look at this energy now, okay? The external environmental influences here. I like to think of it as weather. So we have the Knight of Cups. So my feeling, there's a lot of good intention here about the desire to be loving and the desire to be loved, and the deliberate intentions to walk away from and set aside anything and everything that does not equate with that formula. Okay? With Tarot Lumination, we often talk about being loving and being loved. And that's really hard to do unless you own it in the first place. So we have to invoke the healing power of love. We have to invoke love into our lives from up above so that we own it. We ask for the healing power of love to fill our bodies from up above. We ask for the healing power of love to fill our minds from up above. We ask for the healing power of love to fill our hearts from up above. We ask for the healing power of love to fill our souls from up above. So it is spoken, so it is done. And then you own it, okay? And then the question is now, what do you do with that? It's your responsibility. What are we radiating here for you, Libra? Look at this, more cups. We have the Six of Cups. So you might be in a situation where, let's say, you're looking around you, your life and your world, and then you're glimpsing your relationship. Let's say you actually have a relationship, and you're realizing, wow, there's something much more profound going on than the day-to-day stuff that I ever imagined or knew before. In other words, there's you, Libra, there's the other. They're doing what they do. You do what they do, what you do, whatever it is. You know, college, day job, retirement, parenting, singlehood, adventuring, newlyweds, new couples, live-togethers, whatever it is, you know, dating, so to speak. And you're radiating the energy of, some people call this a soulmate card, okay? So I'm not afraid to use that terminology. Typically, I like to steer away from cliches like that, but you know, if you're radiating the energy of being loving and being loved, and it's recognizable, you already know, for example, like if you think of this as a pulsing thing, like wong, 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 and you realize that in a three-dimensional sense, you know, there's just a beating heart. There's you, the body, there's the body of the other person, and you have habits, traits, and characteristics that may be attractive to you, and they may be attractive, theirs may be attractive to you, and you may be attracted to theirs, and so on. And so people build on that, and they call it a relationship. But with this much energy here of cups, my feeling is that we're talking about soulmate relationships, and you're radiating it out at the most profound level, but it's leaking out into the surface. So it becomes apparent that they will probably sense this as, for themselves, being in the context of a soulmate relationship, if that's what you're radiating here. Also, it could be, for example, if you are single, you could be very desirous of what people call a soulmate relationship, where, especially if it's to do with a past life and it's reincarnating in this lifetime, and you're wishing, for example, to have someone in your life with whom you like compute, with whom you equate, where you resonate on a deep, deep soul level. And sometimes that can't happen unless you've already had lifetimes together and done huge amounts of homework in relationship building, relationship ownership, learning how to deal with the really hard stuff, learning how to enjoy the really awesome stuff, and then bringing it here into this lifetime now, today, right here and now, and then having the opportunity to radiate and connect and relate at the level of a soulmate, you know? So it's more than just dating. It's more than marriage and making babies and kids and, you know, pizza nights and minivans. It's more than, you know, setting out on your dual incomes, life path together. We're talking about deep soul connections here. So what about the other? With Queen of Wands energy over here, forget the genders, male, female, younger, older, race, religion, creed, location, whatever. Let's not worry about that. Let's just focus on the energy, okay? So with Queen of Wands energy over here, this is a very inspiring kind of energy. So they might be radiating energy that's, let's just say, compatible with you. It's a completely different type of energy. This is more to do with the passionate expression and the open sharing of energy. I often see this as like one of those, again, it's another cliche, but do you guys remember Lady Diana? Okay, we're going back a bit in time here, but she was very magnanimous, very, very loving, and very, very loved. She had a tortuous relationship and it ended up as tragedy, but she maintained her dignity and her respect. Guys, you can do this too. If you're radiating the energy of being very, let's say, loving of self, very regal, and not apologizing for this, knowing that it takes perhaps lifetimes of work with a soulmate to get to this point where you can radiate at this level of energy in a loving relationship, maintaining your integrity, your individuality, your individuation, and your right to be individuated and individual, and at the same time enjoying the benefits and the pleasures of being in a relationship, especially in a soulmate relationship, okay? So in some ways, Libra, I see you as very, very lucky here. How that actually plays out in three-dimensional reality, but at the soul level, this looks very, let's say, I don't know if the word is appealing, but very conducive to loving and being loved. But, and the desire for wanting this to happen. In other words, the desire to nurture the loving ingredients that already exist here by deliberately moving away from what does not work. Perhaps you've endured a lot of battles together and you're seeing and enjoying the benefits of having been through hard times together and how that gives you strength and understanding to enjoy the good times when they are there. A lot of people they have good times and they can't handle it when things get really, really rough, and they start chasing the highs of a relationship. And when they can't reach it, they start blaming the other party or the relationship for the lack of thrills, excitement, satisfaction, fun, fulfillment, or ambitions that they thought or expected, or they had a glimpse or a taste of what could happen, but then it's not happening. So my feeling here is that there's kind of an acknowledgement between you, Libra, and a significant other, that there's something very significant that you guys share, and it's based on love in a very old-fashioned sense, and it's still here and present here today. Deep down, what about inside of you? Okay, well, this is a very different energy. So with the King of Swords here, there might be things that are going on that are not appealing to you in such a way that you might feel that you have to exercise like your right to be the boss or to hold dominion over the relationship. And that might be fermenting inside of you in such a way that you might not be aware of, because this much energy is it's almost dazzling. And that, you know, in some relationships, the other parties can't handle it. Like if you, Libra, are with someone who is very magnanimous, very, let's say, kind, generous, inspiring, not only to you, but to others and to the world at large, that can be like a very bright light. And in return, a part of you can obviously appreciate that and love that, but it could also be a bit threatening, like, wow, this is like, you know, it's almost like, to me, it feels like Libra is saying, like, wow, it's like, are you trying to eclipse me? Forget the gender. Okay, I know this looks like a fellow here. This is a woman here, but let's forget the genders. Just think of the energy. Like, I don't want to throw too much doubt into the reading, because these are beautiful cards. They're very strong cards. and the intentions are good here. But deep down on the surface, it looks like you, Libra, would very much like to be the boss, no matter what, no matter the original tone and nature and structure and feel of the relationship. You might be conducting yourself in such a way that you are determined to maintain structure, order, understandings of how relationships are and how they work according to the Libra model. So when we were talking about the astrology, about how the Aries season can be the most polar opposite to Libra, and we're looking at the energy of like the mirror effect, where the mirror is coming, like if we're doing the astrology, we're going round and round in a circle. Let's just put you here on the horizon. The astrology goes round in a circle. This would be the square, this would be the trine, this would be the opposition, the next trine, the square, the sextile, and so on. So over here, if you, Libra, are in a position where you're aware of the depth and the love of the relationship that you have, them with you and you with them, but deep down, thanks to, let's blame it on the planets, Aries energy, not Aries person or people, I'm just saying the season, the energy out there puts you in a position where you are being challenged by the reflection from a significant other. In other words, the relationship starts to look very much like this, where you can, as loving as it might be, this light becomes so bright and so amazing. It's almost like, well, wait a minute, that's almost like a threat. And the desire to call it out and to challenge it and maintain order and structure and keep things like in order, like where there's a sense of power, where you, let's just say it, are in the dominant position. Okay, some relationships have that. Often relationships go through, power struggles, like who's the boss in the relationship? Is somebody always the boss and somebody always diminishing themselves to accommodate the boss? Something like that. Is there an active, measurable imbalance of power one way or another, and it's being exposed? Even in a very loving relationship, there can be dynamics that are very hard to handle and understand, especially when you get the full-on mirror effect, the full-on face-off between self and other, and you're with another who is in their own way magnificent. Let's have a look. Okay, my feeling with the Three of Pentacles here, with them inside of them, is that they're very comfortable with being themselves, who they are, how they are, why they are, and the way they are. And there's no sense of doubt or sense of threat or whatever you might be fearful of, okay? Libras, I'm not saying this is like a bad energy. What I'm sensing here is that there's very much a theme of power going on under the surface. Like everything could be very, very civilized and very harmonious and balanced on the outside, and all the best of intentions are coming from you to the other and from the other to you. There's no doubt about that here. But deep, deep down, there is that, to me it feels like there's a looming, not a looming, but a very repressed or unacknowledged or unexpressed imbalance of power, which is making you rise up to this energy of having to like express oneself, and or the desire to express oneself and bring back a sense of balance of power that essentially works in your favor. Okay, I had to say that. That's what I'm sensing here. I don't want to like diminish the reading, but that's what I'm sensing. And so with the other, I don't see that they have a problem with anything or whatever is going on with you. Like they might be fully aware of this. They might be fully aware of the power in you, just as you are fully aware of the power in them. And they are not threatened by it. They are just like, okay, well, that's you. I'm like it's almost like, I dig you. You're awesome. And it's just like, are you just saying that? Like, are you just saying that to like keep me down? Even in like, what was that Netflix show? the Queen or something about, you know, the royalty over in England, and like behind closed doors, the intense power battles that went on between her and the guy, you know. But of course, in public, they have to keep a public presence. Anyway, over here with the Three of Pentacles for the other party, Libra, it looks to me like, as far as I'm like almost like this. Hold on. As far as I'm concerned, we're doing just fine. It's a team effort. This is classic stuff that happens in a partnership and a relationship. Sometimes I am the boss. Sometimes you are the boss. I'm okay with that. And sometimes I have to lead and be the architect in what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And sometimes I'm happy to defer to you to be the leader and the master and the architect of the relationship. And I will pick up the slack and do what has to be done. I'm okay with that. It's a team. We are a team. This is a relationship. This is what happens in a relationship. In other words, like the hidden message here is like, excuse me, just want to gently remind you that you don't own me and I don't own you. I am simply me and you are simply you. We've been through stuff before. We have a deep soulmate relationship. Let's not get into a twist about this. Let's not get our knickers into a twist, okay? And it's like, okay, so let's go to the core over here. All right, so with the King of Pentacles, there's a lot of like royalty energy here, and it's very strong. My feeling is that, again, Libra, this is about you. It's not a couple's reading. You are the star of this reading, and this is the co-star in the storyline, and the storyline wouldn't exist without them. So with the King of Pentacles here, my feeling is that this is kind of like an acknowledgement from the other that, like, it's almost like, my dear, please understand. You might be threatened by my amazingness, my own awesomeness, you know, male or female, whatever. And I'm not going to diminish that in order to play, let's say, a diminished role to accommodate whatever is not working for you. I respect you. I understand you. I am here for you. But I am not your serf, and you are not my serf, okay? We have a soulmate relationship. We need to honor that and respect that. And I'm letting you know that I do. I see you as a good person who does what they have to do in a loving soulmate relationship, as defined by the card below. There you go. In other words, it's almost like they're saying, you're doing a really, really good job. And you're like, thank you. I'm glad you understand, because do you have any idea what it's like to be me and do this to this level? Do you know what it's like to be the King of Pentacles? Forget the gender. Do you know what it's like? Do you know what I've done? Do you know what I've gone through? Do you know how I have to conduct myself every day to maintain the status and the role, the stature and the magnificence of King of Pentacles? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay, well, I just wanted to let you know, okay? That's good. I appreciate you. I value you. And I value you. Okay. So let's have a look. Where is this? What's fermenting here? So with the Page of Swords, I feel like this is a very, very delicate situation. There's a lot of power here. There's a lot of strength. There's a lot of, let's say, light going on here, where for whatever reason, we can blame it on the planets or whatever you want. Like you, Libra, in your own sense of self and who you are facing off and facing face to face with a significant other who is in a very, very even situation with you. And often in relationships, it's a lot simpler, a lot more comfortable and functional when there's a serious power imbalance, because then the status quo is obvious. Like, I'm the boss and you're the, you know, you're there for me. And a lot of relationships function like that, but they don't want to admit it. Or sometimes it's this way round. I got this, I'm the boss, and you answer to me. But in this situation, when you have such an acute balance where it's really, really like this can be one of the hardest energies to handle when you're dealing with a very, very even balance of power. And it might put both of you on the spot. It puts you on the spot, puts them on the spot. They're dealing with it in their way. You're dealing with it in your way. But what's happening is, it's almost like in very subtle ways, the relationship itself and the dynamics of the relationship are putting both of you on watch, on guard, to understand that, pretend you've got, well, not pretend, but please understand that you have an investment here in the relationship. And the relationship, I feel, is speaking for you. The relationship wants you guys to know that you have something significant here. You need to know this. You need to understand it. And you also need to be aware of the storyline that Tarot Lumination was just talking about. This is the vigilante card, the truth vigilante. And in the context of a loving relationship, especially when there's a balance of power issues at stake, where there might be a strong desire for you, Libra, to assert oneself, to establish power and dominance, and yet that is not being accepted because they are not going to diminish themselves. So you end up in a position of equality, status quo. Then it needs to be understood. And then, I'm not going to read anything, I'm not going to pull any more cards here, but what I'm sensing from here, like if we were going to pull more cards, it would be all about, this is something that you need to be aware of, Libra, that there is so much more that goes on below the surface of the relationship, and it's time to find out in the relationship, because it has depth and value and it's withstood the test of time, perhaps over lifetimes, the relationship is actually speaking up itself and putting you on alert and awareness, both parties, in a very gentle way. Like, it's time for you guys to understand the issues of power, the power balance. And it doesn't mean to say that the relationship is going to end or begin, or that it's getting worse or getting better. It's just we need to deal with issues of power here and understand how much you guys love each other and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it from this point onwards. Because these kind of things that we talked about can actually lead to like fractures and imbalances if they're not addressed. I don't see that happening. What I see happening here for you, Libra, is the discomfort of having to come to this realization where you are deeply loved, you are deeply respected, but it's just coming from such a position, from such a place of light, that it's almost overpowering to the point where you feel threatened, and then like, well, wait a minute, maybe there is an imbalance of power. So be very, very gentle. I'm looking at this as an awareness. This is like a need to know type of reading. There's no ill will here anyway. It's just like the gentle awareness of like, let's just take, okay, I don't want to do any more visual. Let's just take it as like two very, very loving people, and they have to come to a realization like, wow, we've got this. Like, as uncomfortable as it might be for you to acknowledge their awesomeness and power, it has to be understood. As simple and comfortable and easy it is for them to live with your awesomeness and power, it's probably very uncomfortable for them to have to point out the power game issues that you need to be aware of, okay, Libra, so that things don't get out of hand. And that's what might be uncomfortable for you, that a significant other had to be the one that pointed it out for you, so that you don't just run roughshod over the relationship thinking you can be the boss all the time. Everything looks good to me. It looks good, sweet here. It's just like an awakening. It's an understanding. It's an awakening. All right. Thank you so much, Libra. I hope you get something out of this. I'll leave this over here for you so you get the full thing. Thank you very much. I love the subscribes. I love the likes. I love the comments. I read all of them. Sometimes I reply too. And also membership, of course. That's the best way you can say thank you. Membership, please. It's very reasonable. Good. Just check out the links below, okay? Thank you very much. Have a super April. Bye-bye.